Our latest significant storm is up and out. Wide range of snow totals around the Denver metro area. Then came the sunshine today and melted off a bunch of it. It made for, honestly, a beautifully sunny afternoon. This is Cheeseman Park, where snowmen were quickly an endangered species. Sky 9 also took us over Ruby Hill. The rail yard on the west side of town was a bit of mountain fun. Close to home today. Let's bring in 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. Yeah, I mean, this morning, I think a lot of people woke up and were pretty shocked by what we got. And then just like that, drip, drop, away a lot of it went.
Yeah, it's classic. It's how we roll. We're almost kind of into that spring mode here where the snow doesn't stick around for long, even when you get big stuff. So another day, another snow here in Denver. Today was the 23rd day we've had measurable snow here in Denver. And when you add up all the snow days for the season, it's the most active snow season we've had, tied with 2019-2020 in the last 15 years. So it's been super active, and it's going to take a little bit of a pause because winter's going to take a little break for about 8 or 9 days. Temperatures dropping right now, so the concern there for tomorrow morning as we get the temperatures into the teens would mainly be the side streets and the sidewalks, because the main arteries and highways and things like that kind of got dried up in the sun today. More sun coming. We'll get up into the 50s tomorrow. Full sun all day long. Lots of sun through the weekend into Monday. Temperatures into the 60s. And we have more 60s on the board for you. I'll be going over the extended forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
As people woke up this morning to scrape snow off their cars, folks in a neighborhood in Westminster got a different cleanup surprise. Here's 9 News reporter Ria Jha.
You know, there's a lot of art in Denver, and people, I would say, do a lot of spray painting.
But what Austin Goff found on his car this morning wasn't art.
I initially thought, like, it said and then also a male genitalia on the windshield, and I was like, oh, it could have been like a crazy X or something like that.
He soon realized it wasn't personal either.
Just in our side of the neighborhood, on this street, there were about 8. They reused a lot of the slurs, I would say.
Westminster police said they received nearly a dozen reports from people in the Ranch and Highlands at Westbury neighborhoods who woke up to white spray paint on their cars and garages.
I was able to get most of mine off of my car. Yeah, I just used some alcohol and like a Mr. Clean scrubby.
Lauren Miller's car across the street.
Oh, yikes, that sucks.
Had a little more than pictures and profanity.
My windshield is pretty messed up. It looks like they tried doing something. Saw over here that my gas tank little thing was open and realized that we had a problem when the spray paint was in there. Yeah, it's a shame.
Police believe it happened between 4 and 7 a.m.
I don't think that this was out to get a specific person, but there's multiple cars, some over there too. There's some over by you guys. It's rough. I don't know what's going on.
Neighbors are hoping the people that did this find a new way to express themselves, because this neighborhood didn't ask to be the canvas.
You know, whoever's doing this just needs to realize that it's affecting people in a really hard time. You know, the world is kind of crazy right now.
We spoke with a lot of people on this street with Ring camera, and they said that their footage didn't capture any faces. Police say they don't have a description of the suspect either, but they will be adding more patrols to the area as they investigate. Anyone with information is asked to call police. Reporting in Westminster, Ria Jha, 9 News.
The soccer coach at school in Aurora is accused of sexually assaulting a former student. The district attorney's office charged 67-year-old Ulrich Dahm today. APS says he's worked at Aurora West College Preparatory Academy since 2018. According to prosecutors, he used his position to assault the underage girl between September of last year up to this month. In a letter to families, APS said he no longer had a job with the district. They say a background check did not indicate any prior inappropriate behavior or criminal history. The Associated Press is suing the Trump administration for blocking the AP's access to presidential events because the news agency is not using the term Gulf of America as ordered by President Trump. The AP filed the lawsuit today, 10 days after the White House started blocking them from the Oval Office and Air Force One, all because the AP continues to use the phrase Gulf of Mexico.
I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America.
The AP explained that it is a global news agency and other countries do not recognize Trump's new name for the Gulf. The news agency argues that the ban in retaliation for their speech violates the First Amendment, as well as the Due Process Clause, the Fifth Amendment. They're asking a judge to declare it unconstitutional and rescind the ban. The Trump administration just reassigned the acting director of ICE amid frustration from the Trump team that deportations are not happening fast enough. Caleb Vitello's removal from the position comes after both border czar Tom Homan and President Trump himself expressed anger that deportations are lagging far behind Trump's promise to deport at least 11 million people. He's on pace to deport 1 million in 4 years. Homan has also been upset with leaks coming out about these operations that he claims have led to fewer arrests than the agency anticipated, blaming that for a raid targeting 100 gang members in Colorado, only catching one. A federal judge has blocked a sweeping executive order from President Trump that sought to end government support for programs that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. The judge in Baltimore found it likely violates free speech rights and granted an injunction as lawsuits play out. Trump signed the order in his first day in office, directing federal agencies to terminate all equity-related grants or contracts. The city of Baltimore and higher education groups sued, arguing the executive orders are unconstitutional and an overreach of presidential authority. President Trump is purging military leaders at the Pentagon tonight. He announced on social media he's firing the highest-ranking military officer, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Air Force General C.Q. Brown Jr. is only the second black general to serve as chairman, spent 16 months in that job. The move sidelines a history-making fighter pilot as part of a targeted campaign to rid the military of leaders who said they valued diversity and equity. That is just the beginning of the military purge. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says he's fired the Chief of the Navy and the Vice Chief of the Air Force. He says he is also requesting nominations to replace the Judge Advocates General for the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Those people are the military's top legal minds. A federal judge is clearing the way for the Trump administration to dismantle the USAID, America's Foreign Aid Program. Two unions representing federal employees sued the Trump administration. They're trying to prevent the firing of about 75,000 civil service workers, including those with USAID. In today's ruling, the judge said the challenge was too broad, that it should have been dealt with under federal employment laws instead of in district court. A CDC researcher in Fort Collins was working on Lyme disease detection as yet another casualty of President Trump and Elon Musk's work to shrink the federal government. Joe Cardiello says he was part of a team of just 6 researchers trying to better detect the infection caused by tick bites. Now, the letter from the government says he was fired for performance reasons. A lot of people got that form letter. He says he believes it was because he was a probationary worker who'd only been there 6 months. He says this decision to take apart the team did not involve any of his supervisors.
The leadership had hoped to be consulted with a lot of this because, there is no plan for who takes over when, 2 of my ex-colleagues retire within the next 2 years. They need to be training someone for years to get the right experience.
Joe says he was offered a buyout but didn't take it because he loved his job. Now he says he's going to get about a month's pay instead of 8 months. President Trump says he wants to take control of the U.S. Postal Service. He made the comment today at the swearing-in ceremony of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Trump says he would like to put the Postal Service under the control of the Commerce Department. USPS is currently an independent agency. It's largely self-funded. Most of its money comes from customer fees, but it has struggled financially in recent years. Trump would likely need congressional approval to take over the Postal Service or risk yet another move being challenged in courts as an unconstitutional power grab. Meanwhile, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is resigning. The Postal Service says he put in his notice. He had the job for 5 years. His tenure's been filled with delivery delays and financial losses and a lot of bipartisan criticism. National Park Service has seen cuts as well. Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument will be closed now Mondays and Tuesdays. That park, about 35 miles northwest of Colorado Springs, blames the change on a lack of staffing. The announcement comes after the Trump administration fired about 1,000 national park workers across the country. About 70,000 people visit the Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument each year. Researchers at CU Boulder think that just a whiff of somebody's breath might help them detect diseases early. They've already been able to do it with COVID. Spring 9 News reporter Colton Chavez now. And Colton, they're going to try this out with patients and look for other illnesses.
Yeah, Kyle, they're seeing if they can distinguish between pneumonia and asthma in some pediatric patients, and they want to find out if it can detect early stages of lung disease in others.
In front of you, this is the world's most powerful gas sensor ever built.
2 years dedicated to creating a disease-detecting breathalyzer have physicists at the University of Colorado finally coming up for air.
Like you can see that it's like a really complicated design, but the general idea is that we have a bag that we can use to collect a gas sample.
Scientists have someone breathe into the bag.
We load the sample inside the bag into this chamber, and then we shine this laser light from this window over here.
Graduate student Chi-Jung Leong and scientists from the National Institute of Standards and Technology say the laser is powerful enough to identify certain molecules.
By looking at this fingerprint information, that allows us to figure out whether or not this is a molecule that's like carbon dioxide, or like some other exotic molecule like a nitric oxide, or it's like even a virus.
Chi-Jung says they're using the device to analyze breath samples from sick children at Anschutz Medical Campus. He says it will allow them to determine
whether or not that can be used to facilitate, say, early detection of like a disease like COPD, the leading cause of death, and many others like lung cancer.
Chi-Jung hopes it will help catch illnesses early,
We want to take this even further.
far beyond this laboratory in Boulder.
That will really be able to bring this technology into our daily lives and then to allow everyone to enjoy the measurement of a gas sensor.
Chi-Jung says the goal is to make that device much smaller, but he says first, you got to build bigger to shrink things down. A good example is think about those first computers that were invented. Pretty big, Kyle.